Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining in. I know it's an afternoon, but we wanted this session with Priya. And unfortunately, Priya herself is also very busy, but she still managed to come for us. So we had to take a poll and we decided to go in from 2 to 3 because this had maximum votes. So a small brief introduction on Priya. Priya Bhivani is well known in the field of personal branding, grooming, and etiquette. Enriching and supporting her clients in expressing their best is her aim as a professional grooming consultant. Her style combines high energy, interaction, and a clear, concise style to guide her clients. Whether one-on-one or in large groups, people see the potential and put their best foot forward when inspired by her. Her journey as an entrepreneur has been intensified by being a mother of 3 daughters and has helped her gain a cross section of experiences and vocations which reflect in her interaction with clients. She has studied and taught at the Indian Institute of Fashion and Technology, Mumbai, and her journey ranges from flying for British Airways to being a beauty editor for La Official Magazine India and then starting her own entrepreneurial journey as a grooming consultant. She has helped She has groomed and helped corporates, individuals, institutes, and NGOs. Some of her clients include Sodexo, Aditya Birla, Reliance, and luxury brands like Jimmy Choo, Hugo Boss, and Armani. A fitness and health enthusiastic, she actively participates and runs marathons too. Experiencing dramatic change in herself and her clients too, she is on the path to escalate the transformation to a higher level. Her holistic approach helps her clients attain their goals in health, grooming, careers, and becoming more confident emotionally. She derives huge satisfaction by interacting with the clients and seeing their transformation with a smile, thus helping them to shine. Her motto is, whenever you create beauty around you, you restore your own soul. Hi, Priya, welcome. And for everybody, Priya is a mentor with us at Aspire for Her. And I would like Priya to take over so that we have maximum time with her. And the last 10 minutes, we leave it open for question answers. Over to you, Priya.
Thank you so much. I'm totally flattered by your amazing introduction. So how are you, my dear friends, this afternoon? How is everybody? So I know it's a time when all of us are sitting at home because unfortunately we are again in a lockdown, but that's all right. That's why we have these interesting sessions. So we all get this wake up call. Now today, are you aware today is International Health Day? But what we're going to talk about is first our emotional health. And that my session is going to revolve around that. We're going to talk about emotional health and emotional intelligence. And at the end of this session, all of you are going to understand how to unleash your superpowers, which you anyway have, but how you're going to unleash it. All of us are ready to go back to work. I know I've been in two minds, actually. I've quite enjoyed this model of sitting at home and working from home. I've been pretty comfortable with it, juggling homework and online. And for me, it's actually been a boon because I've managed to do a lot more work. I know it's time for a lot of us now to have that wake up call and say, okay, this too shall end. And eventually we will be out in the real world. But that's okay. We all have these superpowers. As you can see, this amazing witch who can multitask. I think all us mothers are that, right? We just multitask and women are known for that. If you think of inspirational women, let's think about women like Mary Kom or women like Indra Nooyi. Nothing has stopped them. In fact, if you see Mary Kom, she herself, being a boxer, did even better after being a mother of 2. Nothing could stop her. Yes, there are challenges. Yes, the path is tough. But I think if we put our mind and heart to it, we can shatter the ceiling. A very interesting survey, which is done by Times of India, actually shows, it's called Avatar, and their survey done is that there are lots of women. Over here, they've said 1,347 women job applicants across 11 locations. And the industries with most married applicants, as you can see, are pharma, e-com, business and finance, IT, manufacturing, FMCG. So yeah, I think this is a great time. And in fact, with the pandemic, I feel more and more women are feeling the need to work. And a lot of women are actually wanting to get back to work. Sure, it's challenging, especially people who've taken a break because of COVID, or could be because of maternity leave, because of relocation, or could be because of ill health. But this too shall pass. So before we talk about getting back to work and about using the right skills for the right interviews, it's a process. It just doesn't happen overnight. So we first have to understand the basics. We have to understand the meaning of self-love, of first impression, of basic etiquettes, our body language, how we conduct ourselves, and then we go on to the interview. So let's just touch upon all these topics. Just give me a minute. Here we have a very inspiring woman, Mary Kom. If you see her body language, what do you see? She's smiling, she's got her hands up in the air, and she's got that look of satisfaction. I think it's the same look that she would give even if she would see her child winning a medal. But here it is a self-achievement. Her being a better woman helps her being a better mom, a better wife, because she herself is self-satisfied. Now, there are a lot of things that go along with this. You first have to understand the nuances to make us a complete individual so that we shine in every aspect of life. Simple things like etiquette. Now, what is etiquette? Etiquette is it's something that defines us. It's daily manners that we were taught when we were children. Simple things like please, thank you, sorry, excuse me. These are all basic manners that we've grown up with. But how often do we actually use it? Now, these are called magic words. By simply using these words, you can open so many doors. So make it a point in our daily lives to just inculcate these simple words. Smiling, having the right eye contact, the right posture, all these things go a very long way. There's something called a power posture. So every time when we're feeling down and out and we are consumed with our daily work at home, and especially now multitasking, work from home as well as working at home and doing our daily chores, how do we as women actually feel better and feel motivated that yes, we can actually go out there in our broom with our cape and rule the world? So these are simple techniques that we're going to be talking about. First thing we have to understand is that every time we're feeling low, don't slouch, sit straight. The posture defines you. It also makes you feel good. That's what even yoga tells you. Every time you have your back straight, you have your backbone absolutely erect, you tend to feel better. You tend to feel taller. It's also good for your core and it makes you look tall. Every time we're feeling low, take a minute, lock yourself in. If you want, you can scream. Sometimes it makes you feel better. Just find a quiet corner in your house, shut the door, and just go all out. Or what you can do is just spread your arms. Whoever can practice this, who's watching, try it. Spread your arms wide. Take a deep breath. Hold that breath in. And stay in that posture for at least 10 to 20 seconds. And then release it. Now, another posture that I'm going to tell you, and we are going to go back to that at the end of the session, is I want all of you all to sit with your arms crossed. Practice that for 10, 20 seconds, and we'll discuss at the end of the session how these two made you feel. This is one of my favorite quotes by this woman, Audrey Hepburn, which I'm sure most of us are familiar with, a brilliant actress and a gorgeous woman. She said, nothing is impossible. The word itself is, I'm possible. So I'll tell you my story. I myself am a mother of three, and I went through a career path which was very steady till about 15 years ago, where I was constantly working first with flying, and then I had my own fashion brand. Then I was working with a magazine. I was beauty editor with a magazine, and that was the time when these magazines were making their foray into the country. So actually helped building up the brand and getting a lot of beauty brands into the country. After having my third baby, I decided to take a break. I still worked through the first two, and I took a break for 5 years. And then when I decided to come back with my own brand and my own entrepreneurship, it wasn't easy. It was a challenge. There were days when I could not leave, when I was totally committed to the house, or there was a child who had a swimming competition, or the other one had a football match, and one was not well. But I think, the attitude is that if you keep going and if you decide to do something, anything is possible. Because time passes, children grow up, at the end, you're left with yourself. And I think we all have to work on brand you, and that's what we're talking about. So what I really want all of us to understand is that we are all an individual brand. Each one of us matters. We are a mother, we are a wife, we are an employee, or we are an entrepreneur, or we are whatever we are. But what defines you is your brand. And how do we strengthen that? Okay, nobody is ever going to tell you this. There are a lot of workplaces, and this is not only in our country, but internationally. It is not so much in India, in fact, I think in India, women are respected a lot more, but even internationally, women are constantly faced with some kind of sexism. They feel that they're not getting their dues in companies, and the motivation may not always be there. But we have to break these shackles, because emotionally we are stronger, we are more capable, we can handle things better, and we can also multitask. So that itself is an art. How do we do that? Only love can save this world. So I stay, I fight, and I give. This is my mission now and forever. This is said by Wonder Woman. I think we all are Wonder Women. All we got to do is we have our invisible cape around us. For that, we need to understand, how do we just brace ourselves to take over the world? So let's start first with simple things like our verbal skills. Verbal skills is how we speak, the things that we say. So we say it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's your tone, it's your pitch, it's a combination of all these things that really, really matter. For example, if we have to communicate, we need to be very strong with our verbal skills. For that, we have to know the content of the matter that we want to put across. So for that, I would advise that we read more. Doesn't matter if your English is not flourishing, as long as you put simple English across, or whatever language you're comfortable in. But make sure your communication is correct. Also, make sure when we are talking, there is a pause between sentences and we don't go super fast. Just like how when we're driving on the road, we have to have speed breakers. We have to make sure that when we are communicating, there is a pause, because a pause always helps for the other person to retain the information better, and for you to put your message across. So keep that in mind. I know at times we are in a hurry and we speak really fast. These things are going to matter a lot when we actually go in for an interview. Hence, it is very necessary to understand these points. We talk about the tone. The tone is how your voice sounds. The tone, whether you're sounding polite, whether you're sounding rude, how do you sound? That's the reason why we like to hear some people, and some people who just want to switch off. I'm sure we all have our favorite, a radio jockey or an orator or somebody that you love to hear. So, for example, I love to hear Oprah Winfrey talk. I love to hear Amitabh Bachchan talk. I think he's a great orator. Now, there's something in their voice which is so magnetic that just by listening to them, it transcends me into another world. There is another very inspirational orator called Louise Hayes. I will, send you the link for her later if possible. And she does brilliant inspirational talks. You will understand, the more you hear these people, you will understand the meaning of the right tone. So you can say, how are you? Or you can say, how are you? So these two things make a big difference, the way you say it. Same thing is about the pitch. Now, pitch is your volume and your pitch is connected. Some people have a very high pitch and some people have a very low pitch. Now, it's good to have a medium pitch because a high pitch can be very annoying and a low pitch, you cannot be heard, you're not audible. These things can be practiced. Record yourself, hear yourself, speak from your diaphragm. Before going for an interview, have a glass of warm water. Avoid, this is a tip I'm giving you all, avoid dairy before an interview because it causes phlegm in your throat. So keep these little things in mind and practice the way you speak. That's why we have a mirror. Always look at that man in the mirror. When you wake up in the morning, the first thing that we do is brush our teeth. You get up, you go in the bathroom, you brush our teeth. Who's the first person looking at you? It's you. So how you respond to your reflection is going to respond to you. If you smile, your reflection is going to smile back. If you frown, your reflection is going to frown back. So we have to understand this person in the mirror, this woman in the mirror, this man in the mirror is all that matters. You don't have to worry about anybody else's judgment. If you love that person in the mirror, the world will love you. If you smile, the world will smile with you. If you frown, you are alone. So the smile has to be an internal smile. It cannot be a fake smile. It has to be a natural smile. It has to be a smile that is exuded in the eyes, not something which is fake, because people can see through fakeness. We have to keep these little things in place, and they're really small, these nuances which go a very long way in our everyday lives. Also, our volume when we speak should not be very loud. I think the easiest example for all of us is if you call up a Domino's pizza. I'm sure a lot of us have. The minute you call up a Domino's pizza, I don't feel good. I can't even understand what they are telling me. They are only rattling. They're reading a script. They're doing their job. But they're like, okay, Domino's, what pizza would you want? I mean, that doesn't work. You can't even understand what they're trying to tell you. You don't want to sound like that. You don't just want to do your work. You don't just want to vomit out a script. Everything you say should have a meaning. The other person should want to listen to you and to understand you. These tips will work not only in your work, but even at home with your family. So keep these things in mind. Our tone, our volume, our pitch, the way we speak, and our body language, which I'm coming to now, they should all align with what I really mean. Otherwise, there's no point. You can't meet somebody, look the other way and say, how are you? Because you are saying, how are you? But it doesn't connect. But if you look at someone, smile at that person and say, how are you? That makes such a difference because you're actually looking at somebody. Never be on the phone when you are in conversation with someone. That is one of the most rude things you can do. Everybody is busy, but if you cannot give the individual a certain amount of time where you put your phone on silent or on an airplane mode and give that person your attention. Because at the end of the day, people will forget your degrees, but they will never forget the way you make them feel. Always remember that. Another example, I'll talk about personal experience. Or even if I ask you to remember, if you remember in the past 5 years, I asked you, who has been the president of various countries? Who has won Nobel Prizes? Who has been the Miss World? Would you remember? Not really, because they are like yesterday's headlines. You read it, you forget about it. But if I ask you, can you name 3 friends who really made a difference in your life? Can you name that one relative who's always there for you when you need that person? Can you name that one teacher who changed your life? That I will always remember. I clearly remember my 5th grade teacher. I will never forget her for the difference she made in my life. These are the skills that matter, and these are soft skills. and emotional intelligence. And once you're armed with that, you have your cape ready. You can take over any workforce. Because even in your workforce, there may be people in different levels with different qualifications, but they may not be armed with the same skills as you. Same way, if you're going for an interview, there may be many people with qualifications just like you, but you have something different. Sorry, somebody just messaged saying they can't see the screen. Can the others see the screen?
Yeah.
All okay?
Ma'am, are you sharing the screen?
No, not right now. I'm not sharing the screen.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
It's just me. Yeah. Is that fine?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
We can see
Okay.
you.
Yeah. So, okay. So it's these people that make an actual difference. I was watching this movie the other day, Three Idiots. Have you all seen it? Just few of you all can say yes.
Yes.
Have you all seen
Yes.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's Three Idiots, right? With Amir Khan,
Correct.
right? Yeah. So there's this scene where Sharman Joshi goes for an interview on a wheelchair, and I think he's been interviewed by this actor Vivek Vaswani, and he asks him questions, and he answers very earnestly. But Vivek Vaswani says, "I'm sorry, but really there is no place in our company for you." And he turns around and he gives him a very vulnerable and overwhelming speech where he says that today what I have to offer to you is that I will offer my whole and soul, my hard work. You will not be able to find an employee like me. I'm extremely dedicated. If you honor these skills, then I am the right candidate for you. So it didn't matter. He had his whole file, his resume, his engineering marks. That didn't open the door for him. Of course, that definitely plays a lot of weightage. Yes, you need to have those skills, please. I'm not saying that you don't need to have your degrees and all in place. That definitely matters. But it was these soft skills and his etiquette, his verbal skills and his body language that actually opened the door for him to get this job when he actually said, I've not met a candidate like you. So that's what you want. Because there are going to be too many people out there with the right skills, and they are going to be worried about how do I crack this interview. What you need to worry about is you need to figure out the company that you are applying to. You need to figure out how you can be the biggest asset to that particular company. What value can you bring on the table? How do you make yourself as an individual indispensable to them? And then, my friend, the doors will definitely open to you. So think about it from their point of view. What is it that they are looking for, and how can I fill up that void? These things really matter. Now, when we speak about body language, now body language is actually, I would say, it is 90% of what you are. You have 7% of your verbal skills and your paraverbal. Paraverbal skills is what we say. Paraverbal is how we say. Your tone, your pitch, your volume. But your body language has to align with what you say. So body language is the language of our body. Yes, our body does talk. And our body has a lot of energy. Our body has vibes. We emit vibes. I'm sure we all know it because there are certain people
I
that...
told you one thing 10 times.
Sorry, can you mute? There's someone who's talking in the background.
I'm so sorry for the inconvenience.
Okay, thanks a lot. So body language is something, as I said, that defines you. And there are certain people that we immediately take an attraction to and we like, right? Because their energy is positive. And sometimes you enter a place and you just don't feel good about it. You just feel that, oh my God, there's something off over here, because it's all about the energy that it exudes. So same way, when you walk into that door tomorrow, back to work, or back to give an interview, apply for a new job, the minute you walk in that door, within 7 seconds, you're creating an impression. It's called in a blink of an eye. You are creating that impression. You will just be assessed the minute you enter, and the impression will be given, okay, I like this person or I don't. The rest will follow, but this impression stays. Same way, when you meet somebody for the first time, we look at them quickly from top to bottom and we all form our assessments and our judgments about the person, which sometimes may be true, sometimes not. Maybe that person has just had an off day. But the fact is that, yes, we have to be very guarded when we are going out, because we are a brand and we have to portray our brand really well. So sometimes we have to leave all our inhibitions behind in a closet. And when we step out, we have to be armed. So when you enter a place, always make sure that the posture matters a lot. Do not slouch. Slouching shows lack of confidence. Always make sure back is tall. We always tell our children, right? And everybody around, stand tall. Again, standing tall is good for health, good for your digestion. So keep your back tall at all times. We also look taller, we look slimmer. And it's a great exercise for your core too. Maintain eye contact. When you're meeting somebody for the first time, acknowledge them by looking into their eyes. I don't mean stare at them. That's wrong. But do maintain that eye contact, at least for 7 to 8 seconds initially. And then, of course, you can blink. You're not a robot. Do smile. And it should be a genuine smile that also shows in your eyes, not a fake smile. When a genuine smile, how do you know it's a genuine smile? Because automatically your cheeks go up and your eyes narrow. So you can tell if it's a genuine smile. Always offer a firm handshake, but I am perfectly okay with a namaste, especially now with this pandemic, and we don't know how long it's going to be around for. But I think our Indian namaste is very well accepted. It also shows that we are proud of our culture. It's also very holistic for us because our mudras are joining. So it's actually healing for us. And it makes the other person feel good. So if you're not comfortable shaking hands during these times, of course, handshake has always been a protocol. So yes, we cannot ignore it. But we have to be topical and we have to talk about the now, which would probably be around for at least another year or so in terms of us being really careful. It's perfectly fine to do a namaste, just like how in Japan they bow. But if we do have to shake hands, there are a few things we keep in mind that make sure the handshake is firm. And it is not too high, not too low. It should be palm level. And this is your web. So when we are shaking hands, it should be web to web, and you shake your hands firmly twice. When you are shaking your hands, you should make sure again, posture is tall, eye contact, you're smiling, and you introduce yourself. Don't have a limp handshake, like, hi, how are you? Because a limp handshake shows that you are not a very confident person. At the same time, I don't have another hand to shake, others I would show you, but don't have a very firm handshake, because a firm handshake is called a skull crusher and a weak handshake is called a dead fish. So very firm handshake makes you feel over authoritative. This is how you can read the body language without even knowing the person. If the handshake is too firm, it means that the person is very authoritative. Then you have the dominant handshake. Dominant handshake is where the hand is on top. You know, you're shaking hands and suddenly someone puts the hand on top. That means they're trying to be dominating. So there is this video, I think, between Modi and Trump, where Trump is shaking hands and he immediately flips his hands over to show Modi that, hey, look, I'm dominant. But Modi ji, being Modi ji, immediately flipped the hands over. So it was just something simple, which you notice in a video. And if you understand body language, you can understand that. Nothing was said between them, but just by these movements of the hand, a lot can be read. That's why I keep these things in mind, because you are being assessed. And body language is a topic which is studied by psychologists in Harvard, in Stanford, and they have done a huge research on it. So it is a fact. You can even tell if somebody is lying, if somebody is interested. So if you're giving an interview and the person taking your interview is actually sitting, like that and listening, that means, and if he's nodding, that means he's being attentive. Nodding is a sign of good listening. When you are talking and you want to show someone that you are listening, then again, you make eye contact You tilt your head a little bit and you nod. When you nod on the right, that means that you are earnest. You are actually listening. When you're nodding on the left, that means you're trying to be attractive. These are again 2 pointers to remember. So nodding on the right is you're actually listening, being earnest. Nodding shows that the other person who is speaking, you are listening to that person. So keep that going. Don't look the other way. Don't be on the phone when somebody is talking to you. Don't pretend to be super busy because that is so rude. Give yourselves, give your all when you are listening to someone. So if you go for an interview and the person who's taking your interview is actually sitting and doing this, that means he's interested. If he's doing this, that means he has his doubts about something. He's not sure. He's trying to hide something. Or if he's rubbing his chin, that means he's thinking, he's analyzing, but he's still interested. If he's scratching his head, that means he's giving it a thought. These are pointers that you remember. If he's scratching his ears, that means he's done. He does not want to hear you anymore. Now, these are all actually, nobody's taught us these body languages. We are born with it. So if you notice a baby, if a baby is happy with something, the minute a baby comes out, the body language is, how does a child communicate with you? They don't speak. They communicate through body language. If a child is happy, the child smiles. If a child is unhappy, the child cries. In a child's cot, when you put on the child mobile and it's got all these different colors and they look at it and suddenly their eyes widen up and there's full pleasure. The child is in pain, the child body curls up if there's pain in the tummy. Nobody teaches you this. So these are just simple tips. If you are lying to someone, you automatically tend to cover your nose and your mouth when you are speaking. Why? Because you are hiding your mouth. You don't want to say the truth. Like if someone asks you, this is actually very funny, but it happens a lot with a man and a woman. A woman will always ask a man, do you think I'm looking fat in this? I think it's one of the most common questions a wife asks her husband, right? Or we all ask maybe a friend. And when you don't want to give the correct answer, just say, no, you're looking great, because they just want to cut the topic. But that means it's not true. But if they say, no, you're looking great, that means it's true. Same way, if you come back home late at night, and like when I was younger and I would come back home at night and my mother would ask me, what time did you come back home? And I would always say, I came back at 8 o'clock, because I'm lying. And I would see my mom's reaction. She would be, really? Really? That means she doesn't trust me. If somebody says, really, that means they don't trust you. If you're talking to somebody and they're looking away, or they're looking at their feet, or they're looking right or left, that means they're trying to hide something from you. So keep all these things in mind every time you are meeting somebody for a job, for an interview, or for anything. Everything has to align. The minute you walk into that door, you should look powerful, you should look strong, you should look confident. And then the world is your oyster. So let's go to okay, let's talk about interview is something which we've all been, eager to know. That what are the things which are needed in order to have a great interview, especially when we are going back to work or whether we're joining a new company. What is it that we need to know? So obviously we have to be armed. Now, there is a saying that if I have to chop a tree, I will spend, if the tree chopping takes 8 hours, I will spend 6 hours just sharpening my axe. What does that mean? That means that if my interview is going to be, say, for 15 minutes, I will spend 3 days to prepare for the interview. So the preparations are what really matter. You can't just go anywhere unprepared. If I am doing a training, the training is for half an hour, but my preps would be for 2 days before. And that's how it shows in your work. So keep in mind, before anything, prepare. Work on yourself. Work on all your knowledge. Be armed. just like how Wonder Woman and, The Witch on the Broom and Vidya Balan in Tumhari Sulu has this invisible cape. They were all prepared. Put your best foot forward always. Now, to get a job interview, here is a step-to-step guideline. Firstly, you compile a list on the basis of your skills. Okay, now these are all your hard skills. I believe we have people working in banking, in finance, in the aviation field, could be various fields that you're working in. You could be an engineer, you could be a doctor, you could be a lawyer, you could be an architect, a designer, or like me, a soft skills consultant. These are all our hard skills. Okay, these are skills that we study and we get. These are hard skills. Sure, the hard skills will open up many doors for you on the basis of your qualification. But once the door is open, the second door will open if you're armed with your soft skills as well. And skills are what define you. It's about your personality. It's about etiquette. It's about your body language. It's everything that we are talking today. So first, to get an interview, we study the organizations that we want to apply or we want to work at. So make a list, research the organization so that you can demonstrate your interest and your awareness. When you go for the interview, you have to show that you know a lot about the company and you are interested. Get the names and titles of the person to whom you send your information and ensure that the spelling is correct. So when we are sending our resume, we have to make sure that we're sending it to the right candidate, the right person. And, sometimes in a hurry, there can be a spelling error, but that's not considered correct. We have to invest a lot of time to make sure that there are no spelling errors. Prepare your resume, your cover letter, proofread again and again and again, at least 10 to 12 times. Keep proofreading to make sure that there are no errors. And they say, try and deliver it on a Tuesday. Why on a Tuesday? Because Monday is the first day of work. So Monday, people tend to be really busy catching up on whatever they've missed out on the weekend. Tuesday is normally the day when people are already relaxed and set into work. And they can review the fresh applicants so that they can revert by end of the week. They have enough time. If you send your information in, say, on a Thursday or Friday, people are already in weekend mode and they have too much work plated up for the entire week. So your resume will probably be shifted all the way down. That's why it's best to send it on a Tuesday. That's a good tip. Within a week of sending the information, call to follow up and set up an interview. Wait for a week after you've sent it and then call and follow up if you haven't heard back. Please do call. Don't ignore that. If the company is not hiring, you may request an information interview in which you solicit their advice, what your next step should be. Once they meet you, they're more likely to remember you. So don't just let go if they say, oh, sorry, we're not hiring now. Please follow up. Now, the resume will include information that an employer will consider you as a candidate. All the information that they need about you will be your resume. If you worked somewhere before, if you've worked with different organizations, if you've helped them, if you had certain titles, or if you've helped them, gain some profitability, whatever number, titles, and names, they always add cloud. Don't think you're being humble and hide that. No, you have to show what you have done. You have worked for it. Use high impact words like initiated, managed, originated, executed, analyzed, created, coordinated, coached. There are various high impact words. You can just Google it, high impact words, use the right words. To guide the reader through the resume, use wide margins, always use bold headings and bullets. Make sure it looks professional and never use bright colors on top, like never use a red. Red shows, somebody who is very stubborn, very aggressive. So avoid using certain colors. And another thing we remember, if it's a hard copy, a resume is never folded or never stapled. And it's never more than 2 pages. So it should be concise, precise, neat, never more than 2 pages, and never staple them. For the interview, you always bring with you 2 copies of the resume, a list of references or testimonials, your calendar, so that you are aware if the job is offered, how you are placed. Something for taking notes. Always make sure you have a pen and a paper and a list of questions you prepared beforehand to clarify what would be your responsibility and opportunity. Another very important thing, when you walk into an office or any space to meet anyone, whether a large organization or small, for an interview, always make sure that you create the first impression from the time you open that door. And the front desk, the lady or the man sitting in the front desk is going to be your gate to the organization. Because many a times they are asked for feedback as to what they felt about you. You cannot be rude and aggressive to them and have your clout and be really polite to the person interviewing you. That does not work. Always be polite to the doorman. If somebody is waiting behind you in line when you're opening the door, don't bang the door on that person's face. Hold the door open, because these little things matter. Maybe the person behind you is the person interviewing you. If you're waiting for an elevator, don't just rush in, stand in line, wait for the people inside the elevator to come out first, and then you enter. These things matter a lot. So from the time you leave your house and even at home, we should be really aware of these things. This is what our emotional intelligence is. So smile at the receptionist, say your good morning, your good afternoon, say you're there for an interview. And if you're offered tea or coffee before an interview, it's best to politely decline. As again, I said, try and stick to just a glass of water, because you're going for an interview, you want to be fresh. So let's not get into that right now. So just politely decline and be polite to everybody. Now, at the interview, you have to dress professional and look your part. Look your best at the interview. Dress one level above the position that you're required. So say you apply for a position in HR, always dress one level above, because it's something you aspire to be. Now, when we say dressing right meaning dressing right according to your body type, according to your comfort level, your lifestyle. And the first thing is being hygienic, making sure your clothes are ironed, your shoes are neat, because first thing people look at is your shoes. Your nails are not chipped. It does not matter. Your nails don't have to be polished as long as they are not chipped. And if you do put polish, make sure it is very smooth and not chipped. For an interview, it's best to stick to light colors like nudes for polish, for feet and for hands. Makeup should be minimal. Lipsticks and colors that you use should be again in the more natural color palette, but you do have to look presentable. Make sure your hair is neat. If your hair is long, tie it up in a neat bun or a ponytail. It should not be all over the place. The clothes you wear should be professional according to the job. An ideal thing for women to wear for an interview with a lot of organizations, I would definitely say number one is, depending on the profile, wear a sari by all means, wear a lovely blouse with it, wear a nice salwar kameez or a suit, wear trousers with a nice crisp shirt and a jacket. If you don't want to wear a jacket, if it's not that formal, then you can just wear a shirt with a nice scarf. Minimal accessories, stick to just pearl earrings or a tiny pearl necklace, simple watch and one ring. It doesn't have to be too much accessories, because the focus has to be you. You have to look professional. Arrive for the interview 10 minutes earlier. Introduce yourself to the receptionist, make a good impression with everyone. As I said, refuse tea or coffee. When you meet the interviewer, shake hands firmly while you make eye contact, smile and say your name, your full name. Take a seat only after you've been invited to do so, and demonstrate confidence. Don't pass any comments about your previous job or your colleagues, that is highly unprofessional. Make it clear you respect the organization and you know about it and you would be proud to be a part of it. And at the end, thank them for taking the time to see you and ask them how long will it be until you hear back. Now, questions that you may ask is, how is an employee evaluated or promoted? Rightly so. You want to be fully aware of what you're getting into. What are the challenges that come with your company? What are the company's plans for future growth? How would you describe the work environment? Have you had someone in this position before? Are you replacing somebody? You can also ask for an organization chart to understand the hierarchy. What positions have written a job description and what are the opportunities for training programs? Also check with, you need to know your salary. You have to be very clear about it because it has to work for you. So do ask what salary and fee would be expected and what other commitments do you have that could interfere with this position. So if you have any kind of commitments, if you have any previous commitments where you feel you cannot take up this job probably for another month or two, then make all that very clear. And when you're answering questions, always demonstrate an attitude of ease and confidence. Watch the interviewer for cues. As I said, when we understand body language. Now, body language itself is a very, very huge topic. So if any of you all want to connect with me later on that topic, I'll be happy to help you out with. But right now, we have obviously gone through the most important points of body language and watch the interviewer. So that's how it'll help you to gauge them for cues and monitor their body language. Elaborate on your answers, giving examples. Turn negatives into positives. So when you're talking to them, make sure that whatever you speak is always in positives and don't use too many negative words. Let them know what you can do for them and not what they can do for you, and give them a sense of how you can handle that position beautifully. And after the interview, make sure that you promptly send a follow-up thank you and how you can make a difference and how you're awaiting to hear from them. So now that we have spoken about various topics that I probably hope that has made an impact on you, I strongly believe that we should all invest in ourselves because we are our best assets. Always remember that. The biggest asset is you. And we have to invest in ourselves. We have to invest in our body language. We have to invest in our soft skills, in our grooming. And yes, we have to take care of ourselves, even holistically, our health, our nutrition, even like a 5-minute quick walk or a run or a 20-minute yoga or breathing exercise, even if we don't have time. All this goes a very long way because we first have to look after ourselves. And I hope that at the end of this session, from this, we have turned to this, a smiling, happy Barbie, and not a bag of stress, which all of us are, which even I am. There are days at home and we are trying to juggle home and work, but no, we have to put our best foot forward and move ahead. And now open to questions before we close this session. So please go ahead.
Hello, I request all the participants to raise their hand if you want to ask questions, then I can unmute you.
I did have a few questions typed out, but I couldn't focus on it totally. So if anybody wants to, ask or share, please go ahead.
Hi, ma'am. This is Mayuri here. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are, Mayuri. Hi, welcome.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thanks for the good insights that you have given. I just have one question from my side.
Sure.
It's regarding, follow up with the recruiter, where you
Right.
said that, after we being interviewed and if we haven't heard back from them, we should be following up, right? So it so happened that, in my last couple of interview calls that I've had, so that was from the recruiter or the consultant. So they've just taken the basic information from me as to how my experience was with my previous company, as in my role and all. They just take that bit and they don't come back after that. So, and I did try calling them back, but there was no response from them. So under such circumstances, what should be the right approach? In fact, I've been thinking, so I don't know, it could be a wrong notion completely, but I have been thinking that when they ask the questions, one thing that they ask is, okay, what was your, when did you resign, or what's your, relieving day and all. So because we are on a career break and it's been like, 7 to 8 months that I'm on a career break. So I'm not
Okay.
really sure if they consider this as a negative point and they don't want to hire such people because they are not explicit in telling this, right? So I am really not sure how to go about such situations.
Okay, Mayuri, that was a very good question you asked, and I'm sure it'll answer a lot of other questions. Your interview was a virtual interview. Was it on Zoom?
No, it was a normal phone call.
Oh, it was just a telephonic interview.
Just a
So you didn't-
telephonic call. So it was not
Alright.
even with the hiring manager. So it's just
Okay.
the HR team who calls up, right? Just like the first level.
Right. Okay. So that itself, I think, is what has not taken off too well, because in a telephonic interview alone, you cannot really gauge the candidate. Okay, you're speaking to the candidate, you're getting the candidate's resume, you're getting the candidate's job experience. However, you can, as I said, you can still speak well, and because sometimes when you pick up a phone, you just form an impression about an individual without even seeing that individual, just by the tone of their voice. So is there any way that you could request? You do have to follow up, because now times are tough, jobs are few. In terms of your question of asking, is it okay if I've taken a break? I think it's perfectly okay, because you are not alone. I would say majority of the population has taken a career break due to various reasons. So if you are honest about the reason as to why you have taken a break, and now how you are ready to shift gears and you're ready to get back into the work mode, and you show what you have to offer to the company. Also, this is the best time to upskill. You all must understand that we have to use this time to upskill. So if we were in a certain position, but if we've armed ourselves with, say, more degrees, more courses, we can show that. So that itself, or what you can do is you can get onto a course that would probably help you for this particular job. You can contact them again, request them for a proper virtual interview, and you can also tell them that you are doing certain courses to upskill you. Just by using these words itself will make the person recruiting you feel that this candidate is really interested and really serious. So do follow up, not once, but keep following up. Give it 4-5 days and follow up with them and request for a Zoom interview, because that is really important.
Sure,
So
sure,
would
ma'am.
you-
I'll try my luck this time. It's just that, given an opportunity, we will be telling more as to what we have been engaged during the
I
career
agree.
break.
Yes.
But then,
yes.
unfortunately, we don't get that. So, yeah, if it
I know.
requires a little bit of push from my side, I'll try doing that.
Yeah, sure. And, just send them another follow-up email and write a little more about yourself, how you can contribute to the company. It's not a sure shot, but it's definitely worth a try. And I think it should work. So just keep on it. And if you have any more queries, you can always contact me later. And I'll be happy to help.
Sure. Thank you,
All
ma'am.
right.
I'll try.
Take care and all the best, Mayuri. Yeah. Anyone else? I saw some hands up.
Yeah, hi Priya. Thank you so much for this wonderful presentation and making us understand how we have to appear in front of the interview. I have a query. Like as you said that you can ask about the organization chart and the hierarchy. Will it not be a very bold step to ask in a first round of interview? Like,
Depends again. Sorry, what is your name?
my name is Neeta. I work with UN, United Nations.
Oh, wow, Neeta. Lovely to talk to you. Yeah, that's also a very good question, Neeta. See, when I go and work somewhere, I would like to be aware. And if it depends again which level of position, what position you are getting involved in. Obviously, if you're a junior level and it's just a start, you're just stepping in and it's your first job, you would not. But if you've been in the environment, in the corporate environment or any line of yours, and if you've been experienced, and if you are seeking a job, you definitely want to understand the hierarchy of the company. So sometimes you can also do your homework earlier and figure out what the hierarchy is. But if there's not too much clarity, there is nothing really wrong in asking it. Again, it's how you ask for it, because you want to be aware of what you're getting into. So you can clearly say that I'm really interested in your company, and this is where I see investing my career and my time in. And I would love to see the way you all have grown over the years and what are the prospects of growth. So, when you put it across that way, that you are in this company also, so you can grow and you can help them grow along with you. So you will get an idea. They won't obviously open the chart. What I meant is you gauge and you figure out how it works. How does the promotion work? Are you going to be stagnated? Will there be chances for a movement up where you actually want to be? So it is very necessary. Again, depends on the position you are getting hired for.
Okay. And second thing which you said is about the salary part, that you can check the salary as well. So
yes,
will not reflect that you are more concerned about the money than about the job?
Not really, but aren't we all also working for the money? Let's be honest. It's very important.
That's true.
It has to be worth your while. You are a professional.
First round. Will it be okay to check in the first round?
Yes, when you're going for an interview, you have asked all the questions. You have done your homework about the organization. You have a rough picture. Okay, this is probably how much I was getting in my previous, workplace. So which you've already put down on your resume. They are aware that you are getting so much. But you need to be clear. So you don't have to directly ask them, okay, what is my salary going to be? But in terms of, again, ask them that, I hope to grow along with you and I hope to make my move. My move is going to be very fruitful for both you and for me. And I want to grow along with the company. And I am the reason why I have left my previous job and I wanted to move into your job because I see a lot more opportunity of growth and this company identifies with me more.
Okay.
So you can see, you can again gauge because you are talking about your growth. And your growth is, of course, growth and is as an individual. But if you are not getting paid as much as what you're getting paid in your previous job, then it's really not worth your while, right? Because you're going to be putting in that kind of work. So yes, I think it's a very, very important. Commercials are very important.
Okay.
You have to, because otherwise we're just wasting our time. I mean, you're giving everything to the company, you're giving your time, you're giving your worth, you're getting geared up. But if you're not going to be content with the take home, then it's not going to be worth your while.
But is negotiation not be the second or the last round of your...
Yes, definitely. But in the interview, if you put it across, because you've already put across what you were getting in your previous job, right?
Yeah.
If you put it across in such a manner that I hope I grow along with your company.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for brighter, future prospects, and I want to enhance the growth of that company as well as myself. Okay, so you leave it at that. Then in the next round, when you are called again or when you are offered the job, and then if you aren't satisfied with what you get, then yes, definitely you should negotiate. Definitely. But do put it across subtly that yes, you are looking at growing and growth, and use those words. Because growth is as an individual, and also at the end of the day, we all want to be satisfied even commercially, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. Thank you for the...
Thank you, Neeta. Yeah, actually, that was a very good question. I know. Sometimes even when I go, I'm always strict about this, but now I've learned better. So yes, take care.
Yeah, we still have a few questions which
are... sure. Yeah.
Okay. These days, interviews are done online in video calls. You have any specific points to take care?
Yes, that's a very good question. So pretend that you're going in for a real interview. Video call or no video call. Put your best foot forward. Always make sure that you think that you are going out, because the minute we think we're sitting at home and working from our laptop, to niche kuch bhi pehen lo, pajama pehen lo, upar shirt pehen lo, your attitude changes. See, when you wear certain clothes, you start behaving in a certain way, right? I behave differently when I'm in my gym clothes. I behave differently when I go out at night. I behave differently when I'm in my lounge clothes at home. And I behave differently when I put on clothes for work. So you have to don the right attire to actually feel that. You have to feel the vibe. So dress up exactly the same way, the same pointers. Only thing, there are no knocking and doors to open. But same thing, the minute the camera starts, you start rolling the action. It's exactly the same. Same smile, same eye contact. There may not be a handshake. You can do a namaste, ask how you are, and carry on exactly the same.
Oh, nice one. Okay.
Yeah.
So the next is, how do we follow up with the normal LinkedIn applications or other job site applications? Sometimes no email or contact person's detail will be available.
Yes, I've had that problem too, where they just send you emails, inquiries, and then there is no revert. In that case, sometimes, when you look up the website for more details, you can also find the person of contact there. Or again, through LinkedIn, there's always a way of connecting. So send direct messages. Again, try and follow up. There's only so much you can do, because right now there are so many people applying for jobs. So yes, that does become very tricky. You may not always get a revert, but send them, I would say, give 3 tries. 3 is the perfect try to give. For everything, give 3 tries. With LinkedIn and with your email. Once, after another week, once more. Then after 5 days, once more. Make sure you do it on a Tuesday. Always the beginning of the week, not on a Monday, on a Tuesday. Always start with asking how they are doing, hope all well, which is very important, especially in today's time. For all you know, there were 2 people I contacted and they said, so sorry, I couldn't revert because my family is down with, COVID or whatever. So times are tough. There are reasons why people don't reply. Plus, there are a lot of people with uncertainties and applying. So 3 is the magic number. Give it 3 shots.
Okay, and we have a last one here. This is by Ramya. I have applied for a job and asked for someone in my contacts in my LinkedIn group from that very company to refer me. And she did refer me, though I am not a known person to her. Should I go ahead and follow up with the person who referred me on what's happening with my application? It's been over a week now.
Yeah, sure. You definitely must follow up with the person. The person has been kind enough to refer you. So irrespective, you should follow up with this person, whether you hear back or no. You should not have waited so long. It would be polite to anyway contact that person and thank that person for giving you that link, the lead, because that itself will go a long way. So connect with the person first, thank the person for giving the lead, and then see if you can ask her to connect you with that company and how to follow up. But definitely be in touch. It's all about networking and staying connected with everyone.
Thank you so much, Priya, for the lovely afternoon. I know it's been tough for others also, but we definitely needed this session from you. And I'm sure everybody has their doubts cleared and are going to make some new beginnings, because we are posting for a lot of jobs. And I'm sure a few of them must be actually getting in calls. And this must have helped all. Thank you so much. And thank you everybody for coming in. And if it's okay, we can just have one picture with just everybody. Would you all like to just unmute?
Share your
show
videos.
video?
Yeah, show your beautiful faces, everyone.
Or whoever can. Thanks, Veena. You're always very sporting. So I think it's afternoon, so probably it's a little tough for others. But nevertheless,
Okay.
we can have one picture, Tejasvi and Gurleen, if we can just have one. Oh, nice. I can see some faces. It's good to see faces and then connect.
Oh, how come I can't see them?
You might have to change the layout, I think, Priya.
Okay. What do I have to do? I'm so technically challenged in these things. It's fine.
Okay. I'll
You
send
can take it. Yeah,
I'll
you can send it to me.
because I guess we are all going to be seeing each other a couple of times. So it's good to see and know each other's faces. I recognize Veena very well. I recognize Neeta. Nice to see you all.
So I just want to add one thing,
Yeah.
just one thing I wanted to add for everyone before we forget, we end this session, is that every day, the simple thing to remember is that woman in the mirror. So don't forget that. And always remember that you are your own brand, and keep smiling and shining. And if you have any queries, you can contact me directly on my website is priyabhimani.com. So I also work individually with people and, help them. So if you have any further queries, you can just be in touch. Thank you and take care. Everybody stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.